Welcome to the Aging Gracefully podcast, virtual edition, your source for cutting-edge information on healthy aging, anti-aging, and innovative treatment options. I'm your host, Brandy Nielsen, and I'm honored to explore the evolution of anti-aging and longevity medicine through actual patient and expert provider experiences that can help redefine how aging looks and feels in our personal lives and beyond. Today, we welcome Dr. Joel Lopez, a holistic and integrative medical doctor, as well as certified nutrition and anti-aging and regenerative medicine specialist. Dr. Joel is also the leader of CHARM, which stands for Center for Healthy Aging and Regenerative Medicine, with a belief that true beauty is achieved by harmonizing and nourishing the mind, body, and spirit, which I know is music to my co-host's ears, my husband, Ralph Smith.
Yes, it's music to my ears when I think about mind, body, spirit, and how we can optimize our total well-being as we age. I think it's really critical that we consider all three parts, mind, body, spirit. So I'm really honored to have Dr. Lopez here with us today. Thank you.
But wait, there's more. Dr. Joel is also a founding member of PRIMA Philippines, which stands for Preventive, Regenerative, Integrative Medical Alliance, comprising a group of integrative medical doctors. Wow, that was a tongue twister. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Joel.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good afternoon, Brandy and Ralph.
I understand that you are actually in Manila right now. So thank you for joining us. We're in Tampa, Florida. Thank you for joining us from so far away. Before we get into our topic today, which is human growth hormone and peptide therapy, we know that you have so much more to offer. So before we dive into that topic, why don't you share your journey to becoming a medical doctor in both the Philippines and America, and why you're passionate about this industry?
Okay. Yeah, I actually was born and raised here in Manila, and most of my family are in the medical field. In fact, I have uncles who actually trained in New York during their residency training. And well, I started out as wanting to become a cardiologist because it sounded nice. But eventually, I ended up in this field. Actually, did my medical school in Manila, but eventually, I did my residency training in Chicago. So I finished internal medicine, but during my residency program, I became disappointed because it was only about treating symptoms with medications. So it was just like a band-aid approach. So I began to search right before I finished residency and ended up training with different alternative or holistic medical doctors all over the states, including places in Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama, Naples, Florida, Indiana, as well as in San Francisco, California. So I began incorporating different modalities such as nutritional medicine, herbal medicine, and eventually got certified in anti-aging and regenerative medicine.
I think that's incredible. It sounds like you have been all over the United States, whether you were educating or receiving education or treating others. Share a little about how often do you have to go back and forth between America and the Philippines to treat your patients?
Yeah, I used to fly back in the Philippines like every 3 months from San Francisco, but I got a little bit tired of that. So
I'm
I
sure.
eventually, got based here in Manila, but I go to San Francisco once in a while. And actually, before the pandemic, I've already been doing a lot of virtual consultations because I have clients not only in the US or in Manila, but in other places as well.
Around the world. Isn't that a great thing?
Yeah.
I mean, the virtual life enables us to
Yeah.
do this with you right now. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Can you touch a little upon Prima Philippines? What does Prima do?
Yeah, actually was one of the founding members of PRIMA. We started out as for medical doctors and eventually, well, right now we have like 130 medical doctors
Wow.
who are involved in preventive, regenerative, and integrative medical practice.
That's incredible. And are they practicing within the Philippines only, or do they also reach out abroad virtually?
Yeah, a lot of them practice here. And actually, if you don't know, we got like 7,100 islands. So we're like scattered all over the
Wow.
archipelago.
Wow. 7,100 islands. So you definitely need a plane
Mm,
to hop between each
yeah.
one, I'm sure, or helicopter. Yeah. Wow. No, I've never been to the Philippines, but I would love
Mm,
to be there. We also touched on charm. I'd like you to talk
mhm,
about that as well. How did you come to found charm, and what do you intend to do with it?
mhm. Yeah, I actually coined the term charm, and actually it stands for Center for Healthy Aging and Regenerative Medicine.
Love it.
So before people would call it anti-aging, but
Yes.
some people don't like the term. So healthy aging is probably the best or the more appropriate term. And we do a lot of things with regenerative medicine using like peptides, hormones, stem cells, and um, micro, mitochondrial extracts. Yeah, so there are many things that we could do to help a person regenerate or rejuvenate themselves.
You have to explain to our listeners and viewers what is mitochondrial extract.
Yeah, actually, we work with a company called European Wellness Center. They're actually based in Europe as well as in KK or Kota Kinabalu in Malaysia. So they actually one of the pioneers in cellular or stem cell therapies. However, they use synergenic sources of stem cells. That means animal sources of stem
Mm.
cells. Um, then of course, there's another group that uses primarily autologous or human sources of stem cells. So there are pros and cons to both, but I've used both in my practice.
And what does it treat? Give us some examples of what it can help.
Yeah, actually, we use stem cell therapies or cellular therapies for different chronic degenerative conditions like neurological problems such as Parkinson's
Mm,
or even Alzheimer's or autism.
mm,
But of course, it's always a holistic approach. Um, actually, before doing cell therapies, we do a lot of uh, pre testing to make sure that there are no like nutritional deficiencies or hormonal imbalances. We kind of like prepare the body before doing stem cells because it's like if you implant something or like if you're a good analogy would be like planting crops. You want to make sure that the soil is healthy.
Mm.
So if the soil is healthy, the crop would tend to survive and thrive. So when we do stem cell therapies, we recommend taking care of all the imbalances. And then after the procedure, we recommend post stem cell therapies, including hyperbaric oxygen therapies,
mm.
as well as the IV nutritional therapies. When we do these things, we're able to achieve better or more sustainable results.
That's incredible. And I love the analogy to crops and farming and growing because
Mm,
that makes
mhm,
perfect
mhm.
sense. I've never
Yeah.
heard anybody explain it that way before, but I'm sure that's a very easy way to digest and understand that.
Mhm,
So let's talk about human growth hormone. Is
mhm,
because it's growth, human growth hormone. We're talking about growth,
mhm,
talking about growing.
mhm.
How is that similar?
Yeah, actually, growth hormone was being used for growth and development. Its role in childhood is for growth and development, but for adults, it's actually good for repair and regeneration.
Mm.
When they started using growth hormone before, it was actually used primarily for dwarfism, but they were getting it uh, at that time from cadavers.
Ooh.
So they encountered some problems at that time. So now it's made through recombinant DNA technology. So it's made in a lab. However, it's similar to what our body produces. And before the anti-aging movement became popular, like in the early 1990s, so it was only primarily used for dwarfism. But when with the anti-aging or regenerative medicine movement, it's now being used for adult growth hormone deficiencies, and people who are basically are having like symptoms such as fatigue, or people who are starting to notice like a decrease in how do you call this, energy, or they're starting to notice like visible signs of aging, like problems with their skin. But more importantly, we address the invisible signs of aging, which is actually more important. What happens in the cellular level is actually what we need to address. So if a person's cellular imbalances are addressed properly, then it should be able to radiate outward.
Mm.
So right now, there's a tendency to combine um, integrative medicine or regenerative medicine as well as aesthetic medicine. Uh, Aesthetic medicine, you actually get results right away with
Yes.
aesthetic medicine. Yeah. But if you want to get like more optimal or sustainable results, you want to combine both. You want to make sure you address what's going on inside the body to get better results when you do the aesthetic procedures.
I know all about it, right? We want to,
Hmm.
the first thing we cling to is wanting to look better quickly, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and that's such a society. We want everything fast. We want to look great
Yeah.
really fast, right? And today,
Hmm.
I mean, you can go anywhere on every corner. You can go get Botox. You can go get
Hmm.
filler. You
Yeah.
can you can go get laser. It's just so common to,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
agree with you though. If you would probably need to use that a little bit less if you start working on
Hmm.
the inside out. And so I understand human growth hormone also helps with the skin, you were saying. So that's
Hmm.
case in
Yeah.
point there. If your skin is healthier,
Hmm.
you may need that stuff a little bit less. Not stop,
Yeah.
not never, just maybe a little bit less. So human growth hormone, I also hear a little bit of controversy about it as well. Like it's
Mhm.
banned for professional athletes. Why would that be?
Yeah.
Why would it be
Mhm.
stigma and not good in some cases and good in others?
Yeah, because it's being used for sports enhancement. So if you use it among athletes, it's illegal. However, if there's real deficiency going on, it's good to correct it, but use physiological amounts of the growth hormone, not pharmacologic amounts of the hormone. Meaning, don't use too much of it, because when you do that, it's like you're getting an advantage over the other competitor.
I see. I see. While
Yeah.
it's a really good
Mhm.
thing, like with everything else, you can abuse it and overdo
Yeah.
it. Yeah, understood.
Mhm.
Um, Peptide therapy and peptides in general are
Mhm.
they similar to our hormones and human growth hormone, or is it
Mhm.
something completely different?
Mhm. Yeah, but well, basically both are coming from well, their basic block is actually amino acid. But
Oh,
people who, let's say, don't want to use growth hormone because of the cost may use peptides, and it's less expensive, and it's also as effective as growth hormone. However, you need to choose the right one if you want to address specific issues. Like, for instance, for anti-aging, you may use peptide called ipamorelin, tesamorelin, or sermorelin. But if you want to address things like wound healing, you may use like thymosin beta. For autoimmune disease, you may use thymosin alpha. So there are different peptides that you could use for different conditions. and you might want to seek help from a doctor who's knowledgeable with the use of peptides. And it's actually interesting because a lot of the peptides that I used when I was based full time in the States come from compounding pharmacies in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Big here in
Yeah,
Florida.
yeah, they come from Florida.
Mhm.
Interesting.
I
Ralph,
have a
I'm sure
question
you
for
have
Yeah,
I
a
have a
question.
question for Dr. Lopez.
Sure.
yeah.
Dr. Lopez, I want to go back just a little bit about the difference in regulations between the US and say
Mhm,
Philippines. And with you bouncing back and
mhm,
forth, how
mhm,
do you and your team or the network of doctors that
mhm,
you collaborate with, how do you navigate the
mhm,
legalities or the regulatory bodies between both countries? And even now, I would even say within the states, because
mhm,
the state of California may have some different rules and regulations than the state of Florida. So can you touch base on that for just a moment?
mhm. Yeah, actually, the Philippines follow whatever the US does.
Oh, they do. Okay, that's
So
good
we're
to
like,
know.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Simple.
almost similar regulations.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
but as
mhm.
mhm,
Yeah, I was just going to ask something like human growth hormone. And we spoke,
mhm,
we
mhm,
just kind of briefly touched base that it could be illegal for professional athletes, and
yeah,
illegal as an illegal substance, or is it just not accepted within professional sports? Or is it
mhm,
regardless if you're a professional athlete or if you're a prospective patient wanting to learn more about human growth
mhm,
hormone, as long as I was tested
mhm,
through your business, through your medical practice, and
mhm,
the results came back and said that I was deficient in certain areas, then by law,
mhm.
you would be able to prescribe me human growth hormone. Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Understood. And
yeah,
most of those
yeah.
discoveries are handled via telehealth through onboarding sessions through like you have to do a face-to-face video call and then get their blood work back or send it to
Mhm.
a laboratory. Is that how that works?
Yeah, ideally. So we do initial consultations just to find out what tests that a person needs. And then we order a comprehensive hormone panel, not just checking the sex hormones, but your thyroid, adrenals, pituitary as well. And then also check for tumor markers just to make sure that there are no contraindications
Very
to the
important.
use of the growth hormone or to the use of hormones in general.
Okay.
And how do
Yeah.
you know what's right for a particular individual?
Yeah, so we do a comprehensive 14-page health questionnaire using the functional medicine model. So after an initial consultation, then we could determine what tests a person needs. So again, we do a comprehensive nutritional panel, hormone panel, tumor panel, and depending on a person's signs and symptoms, we may recommend additional functional testing. For instance, we may do a urine test or a hair analysis for heavy metals because the metals are mitochondrial poisons. We
Mm.
encountered these poisons from our food, air, water. So when they poison the mitochondria, the first symptom would be fatigue. So a person who has fatigue ideally needs to be tested for heavy metal toxicity. And it's common because, like, for instance, dental fillings, we call
Yes.
them silver fillings, but it's actually 50% mercury. Then, of course, in women, there's makeup too, and it's a source of lead. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's everywhere nowadays. Even toys could be a
Wow.
source of heavy metals. Yeah.
Interesting.
You-
I didn't know about the hair sampling tests. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
Hmm.
So, when does
Hmm.
someone know or become aware that they should seek out this sort of testing and potentially they are a candidate for this treatment? I the industry is not new, but I still
Hmm.
feel like it's not widely known that this is
Hmm.
available to anyone because there's still so much stuck in traditional medicine with the healthcare, traditional
Hmm.
healthcare, your insurance company.
Hmm.
It's so common that it's hard to break out of that, what I'll call a bubble, to understand there's something else
Mhm.
there. So what are some of the things that you try to do to help people understand this is there available to you? Come check this out. Like what,
Mhm.
how do you break that barrier?
Yeah, actually, it all begins with educating the public. And I commend you guys because you're using this platform
Yes.
to really educate the public. Yeah, so um, yeah, it begins with that. And actually, ideally, everybody should go through a comprehensive evaluation because, again, a lot of symptoms that we experience are being treated with I call band-aid medicine because we're just using things to cover the symptoms. But it's all very essential to treat the underlying causes of illness. Actually, the underlying causes of illness or aging in general are similar. So
Interesting.
when you treat a person, yeah, when you treat a person, underlying causes, it's basically preventing them from getting ill.
Right. Well, there's no
Mm.
medicine I mean that we are aware of that's going to stop us from aging altogether. We're not going to live forever,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Some say that we start dying as soon as we're born, or we start aging as soon as we're
Mm.
born, and that's true. But
Yeah.
all of these
Yeah.
things can help us live our best lives until
Mm.
where the end is going to be, and
Mhm.
that is important to me. I want to be as healthy
Mhm.
as I can possibly be at 80. You know, and
Yeah, yeah,
still
exactly.
living a vibrant life for however long the gift of life is going
Mhm.
to be upon me. So that's
Mhm.
why we talk about this. That's why my husband and I are even
Mhm.
involved in to, like you said, I'm not a medical expert. Ralph is not a medical expert, but we
Mhm.
understand the truth in this medicine. And you're right, we
Mhm.
want to get the word out, and that's why we're here. I have used
Mhm.
hormone therapy and it has made tremendous changes for me.
Mhm.
So, you know, in being a patient myself and trying these things and knowing that it's helped, I can't keep that to myself. You know, shame on me if I
Mhm.
don't share that good news, right? But, you know,
Yeah. Right.
hormones,
Mhm.
they are about everything. They do everything for us in our bodies, right? The function of our bodies,
Mhm.
about our hormones balance that.
Mhm.
And I don't
Mhm.
I still don't feel that people really understand the magnitude of that, you know, and female hormones
Mhm.
versus male hormones, and there's so much
Mhm.
out there to learn about it. But what can you
Mhm.
share something? What is the simplistic way of sharing with
Mhm.
our viewers and listeners why hormones are so important to the functioning of our
Mhm.
bodies? Very simple.
Yeah, so hormones basically regulate all the physiological processes in the body. If there's an imbalance, it could lead to symptoms. And when we do recommend hormones, we recommend bioidentical hormones, which are similar to what our body produces. Because if a person uses synthetic hormones, it also would create an imbalance. And it's basically not, we shouldn't be using the word replacement. It should be restoration, hormone restoration therapy. We're not replacing the hormones.
That's true.
We are
You're
just
right.
Mhm.
replacing, restoring what's lacking. Yeah, so yeah, bioidentical hormones are basically safer than your synthetic hormones. And that's why we recommend the use of this type of hormones.
Makes perfect sense. And I never
Mhm.
thought of that, replacing versus regenerative. You're not taking somebody's hormone away and putting a new one in.
Yeah. Mhm.
Very interesting. We get hung up on these words, right, and don't even realize what they mean or what we're
Yeah.
saying. So interesting.
Yeah, I think, I think it's really important for us to clarify for our audience. We spoke about a lot today. We spoke about BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. We spoke about stem cell therapy.
Mhm.
We spoke about peptides, right? I think it's if we can we kind of just summarize if I'm struggling, if I'm in my 40s, if I'm in my 50s, I have
Mm-hmm.
fatigue, I've got low libido. These are some of the
Mm-hmm.
symptoms that we understand could be corrected or at least balanced through some of these types of treatments. But
Mm-hmm.
as someone that is new and they've never even heard of these terms before, but they're watching this
Mm-hmm.
podcast for the first time, what would you tell them? One, how would they understand the difference between stem cell therapy, um, peptide therapy, or HGH?
Mm-hmm.
But then two, what could they
Mm-hmm.
expect to benefit from these types of treatments? Obviously, we would hope that they feel better, but can you touch base on that?
Yeah. So in the field of regenerative medicine, there are a lot of tools. So we could compare the different therapies to, let's say, cars. All these cars will get you there, but some of these cars could get you there faster.
Mm,
Like if you do the
good.
stem cell
I love
therapy,
your analogies, Doc.
you could achieve achieve your goals much faster compared to, let's say, trying something as simple as we do like placenta therapy. So that'll give you some results. It's less expensive compared to stem cells. However, it may take a longer time to achieve your goals. But if you want something premium, then you might want to consider the top of the line, which is the stem cell therapy. But of course, cost is sometimes something that hinders people from doing this one. So sometimes just starting with the something as simple as taking antioxidants, it could give you results. Detoxification could also give you results. So starting with the basics, um, making sure that there are no nutritional deficiencies, making sure that your hormones are in balance. So once you take care of these things, then a person may not need stem cell therapy.
I
Wow,
understand.
that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
huge. And let's dive into that a little deeper because I know that you're a
okay.
nutrition specialist as well. And I love that you just said that. So, if we are truly eating properly, getting the right nutrients,
Mm,
but also lifestyle modification, right? That's what we're really
yeah.
into. But if you're eating right, if you're sleeping right, if you're getting the proper exercise, you may not need these things,
Hmm.
right? And that's
Yeah.
really, really important because we need to start that early if we're going to live better
Hmm.
as we get older. Um,
Hmm.
but can that is that true for somebody maybe who hasn't taken care of themselves and now they're maybe in their 50s, even pushing
Hmm.
60? They
Hmm.
haven't eaten well their whole life, they haven't exercised. Uh,
Hmm.
this person might need a bit of both, I'm guessing, to get there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take a while, or
Hmm.
you tell me, you're the doctor, I'm just making wild guesses here.
But yeah, you're right. If a person has a lot of comorbidities already, then maybe just a simple change in, let's say, your diet or lifestyle may not be enough. So
Mhm,
these are people who may really need help. But again, uh, it's a holistic approach. So
mhm.
we want to make sure that the lifestyle modifications are still there. Because some people actually they do stem cell therapy. However, they don't change their lifestyle.
Uh,
So the results may not be as great as those who actually do everything.
right. You mentioned it's really
Yeah.
expensive, and we know this. Um,
Mm,
are there any options available where patients might be able to get help using insurance for these type of treatments?
mhm.
Or is it all usually just
Um,
cash based?
yeah, actually, there's an insurance company here called Pacific Cross.
Mm,
They're actually the counterpart of Blue Cross in the States. They actually would cover stem cell therapies
wow.
if there is an indication. And actually, it has to be done in a hospital setting, not just in a clinic.
Mhm.
So there are insurances that would actually pay for this. But you know what? One of the things that you could do to also stimulate the release of stem cell therapy, stem cells from your body is through the use of hyperbaric oxygen therapies. It stimulates the release of stem cells from like your bone marrow. So if you have access to that, you might want to try try it as well.
Can you share an experience you've had with a patient that you treating them has completely changed their life? An example of where they were when they started, then you met them, you started treating them, and now they're on a journey to a much better life. Can you share the experience?
Mhm. Yeah, I've had clients who had, let's say, a lot of chronic degenerative joint
Mm.
joint disease, PJD. So some of them have to be how do you call this? Given the stem cells locally, so it's injected into their, let's say, knees, for instance. However, we also give it through intravenous infusion,
Hmm.
so it goes all over the body. But it actually goes to the areas of the body where there's a lot of inflammation. So let's say a person has issues with their, say, their skin. So it goes to where where it's needed first. However, it goes through the whole body.
Wow. So does it actually recognize damage and begin to repair it
Yeah,
wherever it is in your body?
yeah. But however, a person may need more than one treatment, because like at this point we're using bone marrow stem cells actually derived from healthy donors in Japan. So we import it here to the Philippines after it's cultured for like 10 days. So after after it's infused, normally one infusion may not be enough. So a couple to three infusions may do the job. However, for those with a lot of comorbidities, they may need more than three infusions. But in general, three infusions is what we do recommend. Yeah,
That's
because one infusion alone may not be sufficient. But some people may notice a difference, like if they're generally healthy, some people just do it as a preventive.
I see. And
Yeah.
Ralph, we had a guest a few months back
Mm.
had stem cell therapy using his own stem cells, right? Ralph,
Bone
Oh
share
yeah,
marrow.
a little bit about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You had
Yes,
interviewed.
he he was very interested. He had a torn meniscus, and this was an
mm,
injury from sports and different things that he was involved in, actually at a much younger age. And some of the
mm,
stem cell that was available here was derived from
mm,
umbilical cord. He had a desire to
yeah,
pursue another option, which was his own was a stem cell from his own bone
mm,
marrow, and he traveled to
mm,
Bogota, Colombia. He was
mm,
absolutely thrilled with the results. He shared
mm,
with us that within the same day, he was feeling a
mm,
noticeable difference in
mm,
pain going away, and over time, it actually
mm,
even got better. And as it sits today,
mm,
he's able to exercise fully. He's back in the gym. He's a very athletic, active individual,
mm,
and he feels that his treatment was a complete success. My
mm,
challenge with this is, and this is why I asked the question about going to the
mm,
Philippines or versus the United States, is unfortunately
mm,
this individual, it required him to go to Bogota, Colombia, to get the type of treatment he wanted.
mm,
I mean, and as I
mm,
said, he was
mm,
very happy with the treatment, but why can't we find this type of treatment here in the US? And, because I feel like we should. If we have clinical studies that
mm,
support that these treatments are beneficial,
mm,
little to no side effects, extremely high
mm,
success rate, why is it that in the United States we have to travel abroad to get the type of treatments to help us feel
mm,
better?
mm.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised
very good
you have an opinion on
question.
that.
Yeah, a lot of just regulations in the
Mhm,
United States, unfortunately. Uh,
mhm.
People have to go out of the country to just do certain treatments.
When we were referencing peptide therapy, you mentioned depending on the type of goal that we have in mind, whether if it's
Mm,
to speed up recovery whether if it's
Mhm,
burn fat, right, or heal a joint. Are there
mhm,
for our audience and even for us, sometimes it's challenging. There are some peptides, I believe one is called
mhm,
CJC1295. There's another
mhm,
peptide
mhm,
named epimorelin. There's a
mhm,
list of peptides that you can find on the internet. For someone that
mhm,
is just researching, doesn't really understand what would be correct for
mhm,
them, could you name just a few that you could recommend? Again, thinking about education and awareness and
mhm,
encouraging our users to conduct their own
mhm,
research. What would be the name of some of the
mhm,
peptides you would encourage them to research online?
mhm. For anti-aging, there's sermorelin, ipamorelin, and tesamorelin. And actually, it's available at compounding pharmacies in your area.
In
In
Florida.
Florida,
So
yes,
that's
all over. Mhm.
in Florida. So I love it. I used to just order everything from Florida because other states, like in California, they don't carry the peptides.
Oh,
But yeah,
interesting.
for anti-aging and improving your body composition, I would
Mhm.
recommend those primarily GHRP2, GHRP6 as well. And for wound healing, there's thymosin beta. And then
Thymosin.
for those with like
Okay.
a lot of inflammation, is thymosin alpha. Yeah, but there are a lot more. There are a lot more of
There's a lot.
peptides depending on what a person would need.
So with Charm and with Prima, what do you hope to do with that? Do you want to leave a legacy? What change do you want to make through your knowledge and your talents and your passion? What is the one thing
Mm.
you want to leave behind?
Yeah, basically, I would like to make preventive, regenerative, or integrative medicine mainstream
Mm.
rather than being uh, relegated to alternative.
Yes.
Actually, it should be mainstream.
Yes.
Prevention is better than cure.
Yes. Being proactive rather than reactive, right? To
Yeah,
different
exactly.
things. I want to give you an opportunity
Mm.
to share with our viewers and listeners how they can learn more about you, connect with you, get your services.
Thank you. Yeah, you could check out my social media platforms at Facebook and Instagram at DRJ Lopez MD. So that's DRJ Lopez MD. And my website is currently being revamped, but it's going to be charmedbyjlopezmd.com. Charmedbyjlopezmd.com.
And that's charm as in CHARM.
CHARM.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
again,
Mhm.
you mentioned that you believe in the holistic approach of body, mind,
Mhm.
spirit. So before we
Yeah.
end, we
Mhm.
didn't talk about the spirit side, but what is it that you do to bring the spirit into the practice?
Yeah, I believe that we have to. Uh, um, well, I'm a Christian, so Matthew 6:33. So
Nice.
seek first the kingdom of God, and everything will be added unto you. So yeah, we have to put God first in everything that we do, and when we do that, we'll achieve our dreams and our goals.
Amen. Absolutely. You know, Ralph and I are also, we're both Christian as well. And we completely
Hmm.
believe that the Lord has blessed all of us with gifts and talents,
Hmm.
including medical gifts and talents. So,
Yeah. Hmm.
for those who may be faith based and you're watching and listening right now, and kind of concerned that this may be taboo or anti faith or anti Christian, you know, I always remember that Luke was a doctor, right? And
Hmm. Right.
I remember that, you know, God works through others to reach us as
Hmm.
well. So he's purposed us, he's given us gifts, he's given us talents, right? And so
Yeah.
we're looking
Hmm.
at this holistically from the inside out, and I do believe that this is a
Hmm.
purposed by God as well. So thank you so much for
Amen.
being open and honest and sharing that with us on Aging Gracefully. We're looking forward to seeing and hearing more from you. So we're going to follow,
Thank you.
and even keep looking at PRIMA. I'm so interested in what you're doing. Thank you so much for breaking the boundaries. Not just being in one place and not just being in a bubble, but
Mm.
getting it wide and getting it out there. I also want to thank our viewers, listeners for tuning in, and I encourage you to subscribe to the Aging Gracefully podcast and join us in exploring the latest developments in healthy aging, anti-aging, and innovative treatment options. Stay young, stay healthy, and stay tuned. Till next time.